Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today. We will be covering the USMNT crashing out of Copa America after their defeat to Uruguay. We'll be reacting to Portugal surviving versus Slovenia, and we'll also be discussing Colomwani firing France in the quarterfinals past Belgium. We'll also talk about England surviving with a last-minute equalizer versus Slovakia, and make sure you stick around for the end of the show where I'll be giving you my reaction to some of the main headlines going on in the soccer world, including mainly what happened in some of the other games that we didn't cover over the weekend regarding the Euros and the Copa America. Before we start off, I'd like to ask that you like and follow the show. Also, we get a number of questions that come in during the show. So to ensure that your questions get read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net with your questions. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I can see it, and also really helps the show. So again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net. We start off with the USMNT crashing out of Copa America after their defeat to Uruguay. Obviously, a massive L for the US, getting eliminated from the Copa America in the group stages. Very disappointing performance from them in this tournament. A lot of questions going to be asked of the manager, of the players. There's going to be a lot of talk regarding the manager mostly, but there's a lot to blame around. Obviously, the manager deserves a big percentage of the blame. There's no two ways about it, but the players should not be absolved of criticism. There is a weak mentality amongst these group of players. The desire, the mentality is not there. Now, look, as far as the 90 minutes of this performance, not bad in the fact that I thought we played really well. Even in the first half, I thought we were really cohesive. I thought we played, some good football. We had good moments in the game, good pattern of play. I think overall, in terms of run of play, we weren't dominated or anything. In fact, we looked a little bit more on the front foot. And in certain areas of the game in Uruguay, were kind of playing mostly in transition with the pace that they got. If you look at the stats possession was basically 50-50. Shots 8 to 12, 12 for Uruguay, 8 to US. Shots on target 5 to 3. Really an even game overall. But one moment from Uruguay was able to, a questionable moment which we'll discuss later, was able to get them the victory, while the US, with their opportunities that they got, were not clinical enough. Oliveira, he was able to score the decisive goal by Uruguay in the 66th minute. Panama beating Bolivia 3-1 in the other game was that with the combination of U.S. losing to Uruguay is why the U.S. are eliminated. Now Panama is heading to the quarterfinals. Congratulations for them. But for the first time for the first time in its history, they're going to the quarterfinals, Panama. But yeah, the USMNT, they have now been eliminated. The previous Copa America that was hosted in the US, the USMNT was able to reach the semifinals with a team that had far less talent than this team. A team led by Jurgen Klinsmann had far less talent than this team, but that team was able to reach the semifinals of a Copa America. This team has not been able to do so. The US, it was a very physical and aggressive game. A lot of chaos going on. 32-year-old Peruvian referee, Kevin Ortega, I thought he was horrible and he was not at the level. So many, not even the VAR one, which we will discuss later, but just in general of the game, not giving out cards when cards were needed to be, calling fouls that should have been the other way. The Tyler Adams one really bothered me. Allowing, stopping a Uruguayan attack, not playing or whistling for a free kick while Uruguay were in transition and running to go and take out your yellow card as you were trying to show the card, but still allowing it to be played quickly despite having your card out, leading to an opportunity for Uruguay that Tim Ream was able to clean up at the end. Just horrible. He was completely out of it. Playing advantages or not playing advantages when there was clearly an advantage. He was completely out of it, and he was a horrible referee. And Cannonball, they're a poorly run organization, I'm not gonna lie. We'll get to that VAR later. I'm saving it kind of for the end. But just overall, just the way this tournament has been run, the world feed being horrible, that first 20, 25 minutes, that angle that we have from all the way at basically the top of the stadium, like a tactical all 22 sort of camera, just kind of been horrible. The amount of times that they have to come out and give referee have to come out talking about how the referee made the wrong decision despite having VAR. It's been abysmal. I have to say, very abysmal. The way they handle tickets, and now with a lot of stadiums being empty. Even this game is a game that the USMNT needed to reach reach the quarterfinals of a Copa America. They needed to win this, or they needed to at least get a result, depending on what happened with Panama, Bolivia, and they don't fill up the stadium. Only 55,000 for a stadium that could hold 70 plus K. Really, it's really sad. And yeah, and as far as this game, though, pretty even, well-out game, very physical game. I thought the U.S. really did well for this. I thought Tyler Adams was very energetic, was lively. That Giovanni Reyna was really good. I think he's been good this tournament. Christian Pulisic, he was lively. Couldn't really get it in dangerous areas, though. Balogun, he happened to suffer an injury, and I think the drop-off between Pepe and Balogun was noticeable, very noticeable, which in my opinion was another mistake Gregg Berhalter made in not bringing in Haji Wright earlier, or not bringing him for Haji Wright period whenever Balogun was initially out. We saw what Haji Wright has been able to do in the championship for Coventry. He's had a very, very good season, and he's a very talented player, and he's a guy in this sort of game that Uruguay play a really, really high line. He gives you pace and transition, and a guy that's an outlet in behind. How does he not get in earlier than the 78th minute, I believe, that he came in for his first minutes of the tournament? This is the guy that was very crucial in the U.S. just a few months ago in the Nations League to get the Nations League win when he scored 2 goals in extra time against Jamaica. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get that decision from Gregg Berhalter. Really frustrating overall. Now, as far as the refereeing goes, that offsides, look, the angle we got shown was not a straight line angle, and it's really bad from Colombo that, you see European championships, and by the way, if Colombo wants to get the respect that UEFA gets in terms of, just in terms of the natural public, because, there's a huge difference of level of respect for the European Championship and Copa America, and from what I've seen so far, it's justifiably so. When you look at the technology, when you just look at everything in general, honestly, the UEFA in the European Championship, they have this, system of, semi-auto automated review. They have many cameras at every angle all around the stadium to give yourself the perfect possible sort of position to make any sort of call with VAR. It's just the technology is perfect, and it's almost impossible to miss any sort of call with VAR. In Colombo, with this Copa America, you're like scrapping, you're like making your own lines. You're not even getting a straight line angle shot of the offsides, but you get one from an angle that doesn't really show it. And there's, they have chips in the ball in UEFA. There's none of that advanced level technology here. And, when you don't have that sort of, when you have pitches that are not even playable half the time with players slipping here and there, you're not going to get the respect. Like, people want to talk about the quality from the players, but the quality of the surrounding, even the aesthetic of this tournament. You see a European Championship, you see the players walking out. It's a very aesthetic feel to it. It's very nice. You see the colors on that. Copa America looks like, just another friendly, if that. But that's no rant here or there. I think the refereeing was a disgrace, but at the end of the day, that does not absolve Gregg Berhalter and these players. Now, Gregg Berhalter, I'm going to save him for last, but these players have a lot to blame with this too. Gregg Berhalter, he will get the biggest falling out. He will more likely than not lose his job, hopefully. But the players deserve a lot of the criticism too, because at the end of the day, the players are not good enough at this day and age. The players don't perform the way that they perform for their clubs. They're just not good enough. The level of performances over these past few years has been really crap after that World Cup. And in that World Cup, they were very shaky as well. But post this World Cup, it's been really crap from the U.S. in terms of their performance levels. They've never really been a team that can dominate a game. Even against the bad teams, they've been a team that kind of wins on individual moments of quality because they happen to have more quality than the likes of Jamaica and Mexico. But they're not out here just outplaying them. They don't have the kind of ability, and it comes from the manager, but it also comes from the players because the players perform well for their clubs. This is a golden generation of USMNT players when it comes to talent. We have not had this kind of squad, but they just have not shown up. And to get grouped in a group with Panama and Bolivia, they don't have that mentality. They don't have that fighting edge. They don't have that desperation when other players have for playing for their badge of their country. And you see quotes from players like Matt Turner coming out saying, I trust the direction this team is in. You just got grouped in Copa America in a group with Bolivia and Panama, and you're coming out in the presser immediately after saying, I trust the direction of this team. Are you freaking kidding me? What? Who comes out and says such a thing? I mean, that bothered me to a whole different level. So the players have a massive responsibility for this. Now the manager, on the other hand, Berhalter, 10 games we have played against top 15 opposition, not named Mexico, 5 draws, 5 losses, no wins. An absolute joke, absolute shambolic. The USMNT, with the players that we have a team that should go into games thinking we always have a puncher's chance no matter what team we're playing against, just because of the quality amongst the team. This is a team that should be dominating against lower-ended teams like Bolivia and Panama, should be completely dominating them, should not even give them a kick in the game with the talent that we have. That is simply not the case. And when the players don't play to the levels that they shouldn't be, the first set to blame is the manager, and the manager has shown he is not good enough at this level. He has inability to adapt tactically with whatever he wants to do, whatever system he wants to play. His in-game adjustments are horrible. His squad choices over the past few years have been abysmal. There's nothing about him that gives me confidence that this USMNT is on a good run entering the home World Cup, which is the biggest tournament for us as US soccer fans, supporters, whatever you want to call us. There's nothing that gives us confidence of this dude. He has no right to be the coach of the USMNT. He should have been sacked yesterday. And if he is not fired tomorrow or he resigns tomorrow, major concern. I think Sidney Parlow and everybody at the top of the U.S. Soccer Association, Matt Crocker, Guccianyewu, all of them, anybody who had any sort of say in Gregg Berhalter coming back into the USMNT should also be the first ones to leave immediately, because this is the kind of loss that should completely turn everything up. Everybody, wants to, I happen to be one of Jurgen Klinsmann's supporters. Everybody wants to, derail his name and disrespect him, but, he reached the semifinals with the USMNT, a much less talented team, USMNT. He reached the semifinals of Copa America, and he went on to get fired 2 games later after bad start at World Cup qualifiers. And one of those games were against Mexico, and the other game was Costa Rica away. That's not an easy start, and he happened to got fired after that start. Where has the level of expectations changed? This team under the previous group with Sunil Gulati held this team under higher expectation. Just a complete abysmal from everybody. Yeah, it's really shocking what we just witnessed at the Copa America. Tim Weah having a red card. Okay, you still manage a way to get it done. The players are still good enough, despite being down at 10 men, to get at least a result against Panama that wouldn't put them in the position that they found themselves in today. Just absolutely shocking. And I'm really dumbfounded by this. And honestly, you're looking at this glass half full, glass half empty, because honestly, I think this could be huge. A huge blessing in disguise. Oh, by the way, another thing with Gregg Berhalter, he's signaling to his players 1-1. What in the hell? Why are you worried about the result in the other game? Go get the result in your game so you don't even have to worry about what's going on with Panama and Bolivia. Signaling them 1-1, telling them, what's the point in that? Is he trying to tell his team, okay, now maybe you can sit back because a draw is good enough? What does that even mean? You're signaling to them 1-1. Absolutely embarrassing when I saw that. That alone is a fireable offense. But yeah, no, he's not good enough. The players are not good enough. The group that runs U.S. soccer is not good enough. Massive changes need to come, and it starts off with this Olympic Games, because some of these players could be imported for that team in the 2026 World Cup teams. Some of these players can show that they should be on that roster. They really put themselves on a European level, in the European eyes, so that'll be a good opportunity for them, and it really starts from there. But honestly, the biggest thing that can happen is, when I say we look at this as a glass half full, glass half empty, this could be a huge blessing in disguise. And that's if the U.S. Soccer Federation fires Gregg Berhalter. I don't know. We don't know for sure what'll happen. I think it will. I think the media is coming upon him now, which I think makes it a little bit more difficult for U.S. soccer. So I think it'll be over for him. And honestly, I think nepotism does have a lot to do with him being in the job, with the fact that, you know, he was a former U.S. soccer player. His brother was involved with the setup when he got hired. But then whenever they went on, Matt Crocker and this new group came in to rehire him, I mean, I don't even know. Really a shocking performance from the USMNT at this Copa America. Shocking performance, shocking results, and, you know, they deserve any criticism that comes at them. Everything is justifiably so, you know, as long as it doesn't cross, you know, the obvious boundaries. Before the break, we're going to take a short break here. When we come back, we'll be discussing Portugal surviving versus Slovenia.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Before the break, we reacted to the USMNT crashing out of Copa America after the defeat to Uruguay. We move on to react to Portugal surviving versus Slovenia, because that's what exactly happened. They survived after a little cold. After winning a penalty shootout against Slovenia. Shades of what happened with England a few days ago when they took on Slovakia. Look, Portugal were able to survive. As far as the performance in the game, really dreadful from Portugal. A lot of possession, 72% possession, but no real cutting edge. A lot of similarities what we saw against Czech Republic. No real cutting edge. No real, no real penetrating runs that really made the Slovenian backline test them. Never really tested Oblak to a major extent, in the fact that a lot of the saves he had to make were rather more simple saves besides that penalty save that he had to make. He had to come down with a few saves, but nothing that really tested him to a major extent. Some of the shot selection was really poor, especially the Ruben Neves one at the end of extra time. Just really bad. Like, despite 72% possession and the opportunities Portugal was able to get just because of the possession, having 20 shots compared to Slovenia's 10. Slovenia probably had the best they did have the best opportunity in the match with the Benjamin Sesko running in after the Pepe mistake. But you could argue Slovenia probably had the best two chances, because Benjamin Sesko was in again, which I don't understand why he doesn't take a touch across Pepe and and make Pepe unplayable in that situation. Because Pepe at that point, if Benjamin Sesko doesn't take that touch across Pepe, it puts Pepe in an impossible situation because he has Pepe behind him. Pepe's in a position where he either has to gamble and potentially get sent off and gives a penalty away to Slovenia, or he lets him go through, and then it's another opportunity for Sesko to slot it in back past Costa, but instead he takes a touch away from goal, and it's a bad touch, and just couldn't really get his foot on the ball, couldn't get a clean connection. But yeah, I thought it was really poor from Portugal, very lifeless in certain areas in the game. You never really thought that they were gonna score. Honestly, watching this game, I never thought they were gonna score. I thought Ronaldo, he was forcing it a lot throughout the game, taking every single free kick, trying to shoot from free kick positions that he shouldn't be shooting from, really trying to force his way into the score sheet. Had a few opportunities himself where he couldn't get a proper connection or couldn't get connection right on the ball. Really some clear-cut opportunities for a player of his, or used to be of his caliber. And I don't see this Portugal team going much further. It's kind of the same case with England. I think with the first real opposition, I think they're set to go home against France. I don't think Portugal has what it takes to derail France, and I think if Portugal want to open up and play the Roberto Martinez style of way of opening up and the possession, I think that plays right into French hands. They want the other team, especially a team like Portugal, to dominate possession, and they just want to take advantage of individual moments in transition and defend for their lives, because that is the Didier Deschamps way, and that's what they did today against to an extent. That's what they did today against Belgium, which we'll discuss tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but we'll discuss in the next segment. But yeah, really poor performance from Portugal, and this another day could have went Slovenia way, because at the end they came to a penalty shootout, and a penalty shootout is luck. It's really, well, it's a battle of mental strength, but mostly it's a flip of a coin, a penalty shootout, and that flip of a coin went Portugal's way. 3 amazing saves from Diego Costa, 3 poor penalties from Slovenia, and that's what it is at the end of the day. Cristiano Ronaldo, after he missed his penalty, he was in tears. I don't like that at all because of the fact that it comes in the middle of the game. Now, Cristiano Ronaldo, crying after the game, after losing, very acceptable. This is an emotional game. You lose a European Championship. It's very, very acceptable, and, he has every right to do that. But in the middle of a game, in front of your teammates, during the halftime of extra time, you being the captain of the team, and you're the one that has to get consoled by your teammates, I think that's not just a bad look, which is not really that important, but also the fact that, okay, are you really that disappointed because, you couldn't get onto the score sheet, or the fact that, Portugal are on the verge of getting eliminated, potentially might get eliminated, because you still had another 15 minutes to go to make an impact, to change it, to right your wrong. So I don't understand the crying in that position. I think it just shows a little bit of a selfish nature from Ronaldo. And not just that alone, but also the free kick that he took from way out on a horrible angle that had no right to be, that's across every day of the week. Should be a cross in, but instead he tries to find that top right corner, and it just, I asked this question: does Cristiano Ronaldo care about enhancing his own personal legacy, or does he care about bringing it home for Portugal? What does he care about more? Obviously, he cares about both. But what does he care about more? I asked that question for y'all. But as far as Portugal, yeah, I think the end of the road is coming for them when they take on France. This is a team with no real cohesion. They have no real lack of understanding of how they're trying to break down teams. You don't really understand the pattern of play, how they go about it. You would think this team is a more direct team when you have it would be a more direct team when you have a poacher like Ronaldo, who really thrives at this day and age at finding little pockets of space between the center backs or the center back and fullbacks and being able to get off some sort of glancing header. That's what he is at this point, a box striker. And you think he'd be a little bit more direct, but they're a Portugal team that wants to play, this roulette type of football of, possession-oriented football, trying to almost pass the ball into the back of the net. Really doesn't fit the way Ronaldo plays, and real lack of identity amongst this team. And in these games that they play, they never show a real... The concerning part is not being able to get in the back of the net, because France has not been able to get into the back of the net, and that could happen. Sometimes you just start off real slow in tournaments, but it's the fact that you're watching them play, and they never really show a real... They never really, you never think they're a real threat to score. I'm watching this game against Slovenia, and I never was, I was never on the edge of my seat saying, okay, Portugal, they're about to find the breakthrough. They never really, I don't think the Slovenian fans were really concerned throughout the game, throughout the 120 minutes that, okay, a winner might be coming for Portugal, a goal might be coming for Portugal. That's just the truth. That is just the truth. You can call me a hater all you want, but Portugal were not really concerning at all. And it's a bad sign. And yeah, I think their European Championships will be over very, very soon. And yeah, short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll react to Colomwani firing France into the quarterfinals of the European Championship.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Before the break, we discussed Portugal surviving against Slovenia. We move on to react to Colomwani. He has fired the French into the quarterfinals past Belgium, where they defeated Belgium in this game, the 84th minute, to move on to the quarterfinals, where they will be playing against, wait for it, Portugal, who I was talking about in the last segment. Now a lot of people were talking about this game really disappointing in the fact that there was a lack of quality compared to what we would compare to see at this sort of game when you look at the likes of France, Belgium. That's not really what I saw. I relatively had lower expectations of Belgium because of what I saw in the group stages of this European Championship. They clearly have not turned the corner over their past golden generation. And this French team, they've been pretty abysmal in terms of attacking play at this European Championships. They still have not scored a non-own goal or non-penalty goal at this European Championships. No goal from open play amongst players, actually amongst the French team. But they are in the quarterfinals, and they have a style of play, and they have Didier Deschamps, who's done it in these moments. So, France will always will be a deadly outfit. Now they take on Portugal. But as far as this K, I think this is one of the few games that France, even on the stat sheet, were really on the ascending end, really the protagonist end. Because if you look, 19 shots to 5, 2 shots on target each, 56% possession to 44% from Belgium. France, it clearly showed France were the better team and France were deserving of this result. But I thought there were times early in the game, I thought Belgium had a good reign of sustained pressure amongst French. I think at the end of the first half, Belgium were very happy to hear that halftime whistle, because that 10 minutes before halftime, it was all France. In the second half, France were really starting to steadily progress. France would have a few opportunities. Belgium was able to get an opportunity here and there, but it was mostly France, and if anyone was going to get the winner, it was France. The problem with this France team at this point is, again, lack of cutting edge. Some of the finishing too. They have had a few opportunities to get the ball in the back of the net. Tchouameni had a few. Saliba had an opportunity, and it's just finding the wrong side of the post sometimes. And sometimes they're just taking really bad shots. But it's interesting, And he takes out Dembele, and he puts in another defensive midfielder. I don't necessarily understand that, I have to be honest, but that's what he wants to play. He's a defensive manager. He's fine with the 1-0 result, and that will always be good enough for him, which I don't blame him for. He's won a World Cup doing it that way, so hats off to him. He's back in the quarterfinals of the European Championship. I think Marcus Thuram has been pretty poor in this tournament, and he's kind of the easy target for their lack of goal-scoring prowess at this European Championship, because it's been Olivier Giroud up top over the past few, and now that it's him, the success rate is going down. But also, I think Olivier Giroud needs to get a start for this French team, because it's clear when you look at their performances, especially the performances of the attack in major international tournaments with Giroud on the pitch compared to him off the pitch, it's a crazy level of decrease. It's unbelievably bad. 2018 they reached a final of 2016 Euros, they reached the final of the Euros with Giroud up top. 2018 World Cup, they win the World Cup final with Giroud up top. 2021 they bring in Benzema. Benzema takes the starting spot. They get eliminated in the knockout stages they get eliminated in the round of 16. 2022 World Cup, Giroud back up top because of the issues with Benzema. They reached the World Cup final. These European Championship, Giroud has not started a single game, and they have looked woeful attacking. In transition, some of the final ball has been off. Real lack of cutting edge. The finishing has been bad as well. They've just been flat out abysmal. The movement have been bad. The pace, they have not really been able to expose other teams' high lines with their pace, which is really shocking. And overall, I think the setup might just be a little bit too pragmatic. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. I'd like to see, if you're going to play Conte, maybe take out Tchouameni and bring in another right winger. I don't think Dembele is the answer, because I don't think the quality is there. But you can bring in, I don't know, maybe you can flip it around. I know you don't have that much right wingers in the squad besides Dembele, but you can flip it around, move Mbappe, Thuram, make it work, and bring in the likes of Coman or something, and bring Giroud behind them, just to have 4 natural attackers on the pitch. Because with Griezmann, Thuram, Mbappe being the only 3 attackers, there's not much really, there's Mbappe, but Mbappe is really the main threat in behind, and Griezmann, he doesn't really provide that whatsoever. And Thuram, he has a little bit of a different game. I don't think he's the guy that can, carry a front 3. I think they definitely need a 4th attacker in there, because they look like they were lacking a bit of ideas in terms of how to get a breakthrough. And even in this game, it took a lucky deflection to get them past Belgium, or, they could have faced a potential penalty shootout, because I don't know, would they have been able to find the breakthrough in extra time? Maybe so, but we don't know. We do not know. But look, France have earned the benefit of the doubt because of their past performances at a major international tournament. But if they continue to perform the way that they have, and the attack is going to be as bad as it is now, then I don't see this team getting past Spain. Because I think Spain is clearly the front runners at this European Championship, the best team left at this European Championship. When you look at the fact that every team has had his shaky moments, has had the bad result. Even Germany, in the fact that, a moment of 2-3 minutes completely flipped the game of 2 refereeing decisions, controversial refereeing decisions, or they could have been in trouble against Denmark. Spain have not really put themselves in a position where the games have really even been a contest. They really dominated games, game in, game out, and they've been the best team at this European Championship. And the way that they're performing, I don't think France, with the way their attack is, I don't think they'll be enough to get past Spain. I really don't. They really need to step it up. The attack needs to step it up defensively. These players are amazing defensively. The system was Deschamps. They're immaculate. There's a huge level of discipline in the way that they defend, a huge level of discipline that they needed because of the amount of time that they spent defending. It really could put you in a dangerous position because it takes only one mistake, and these players, they just don't make mistake. They don't make, Upamecano, he made one at the end of extra time, and he's really the shaky guy in that back line. But besides him, these players, they do not make mistakes. They don't fold under the pressure. They have the mental strength and the mental capacity to defend for 90 minutes and to not allow an inch of space, an opportunity for the opposing team. And if they do allow the opportunity, they'll put their life on the line to block it. Some of the blocks that they have made over these past European Championships have been simply brilliant. Saliba has had a phenomenal tournament, by the way. That move where he was able to get past the Belgian defender and hit a shot. I mean, is that a center back or what? What ability from a center back to be able to do that? But, concerning signs for France attack, Belgium, it is what it is. This golden generation is coming to an end. I think Kevin De Bruyne being deployed in a deeper position to start off the game, and it took Tedesco 85 minutes, or not 85, but very late into the game to push him up higher in the field was really a big mistake for me. I thought he got the setup in general wrong today. I thought Trossard should have came onto the pitch. I think what he's done at Arsenal, being a goal scorer off the bench, how does he not see the pitch in this sort of situation? He hasn't had the best of European Championship, but still, he's a goal scorer, and he's a guy that can take advantage of a tiring defense. He's done it all year for Arsenal. I don't know how he doesn't make that decision as well. But yeah, at the end of the day, this is what is expected from Belgium and this generation of players. And it is what it is. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll react to England surviving with the last-minute equalizer versus Slovakia.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Before the break, we discussed Colomwani firing France in the quarterfinals past Belgium. We move on to react to England surviving with the last-minute equalizer versus Slovakia. Wow. Wow. I don't know where to start off with this game. Obviously, you know me, and you know that I root against England. And that ended the game, that few minute spurt of the Bellingham equalizer and the Harry Kane go-ahead goal was a heartbreaking moment. But at the end of the day, it's clear with this team that they're nowhere near at the levels to win a European Championship. The fact that English fans continue to act that it's some sort of possibility that will happen astounds me. I think they performed the same way that they've performed in these first 4 games. They will get absolutely trounced by Switzerland. This is a Switzerland team, not the same of Switzerland before. They have real attacking intent. They are very vertical. They got players in Vargas, Xhaka, and so on. Some of the players are escaping my head, but this is a team with real quality and a real attacking purpose under Murat Yakin. So England should be massively aware of that. Now, as far as this game, for 94 minutes, we really thought we were going to get a repeat of Iceland. Iceland 2016, it had those sort of vibes throughout the duration of the game. Really shocking performance. Couldn't get a shot on target till the 75th minute, which is abysmal. Never really showed a real, like I was talking about Portugal, they never really seemed like a threat to get the goal. England never seemed the threat to get the equalizer, which which makes it more heartbreaking for Slovakia in the way it came with the Bellingham bicycle kick. And yeah, Jude Bellingham, through a moment of magic, has saved a Gareth Southgate job, and everybody's going to talk about the bicycle kick, and justifiably goal. It's a big-time moment from a big-time player, but he was absolutely horrible throughout the duration of the game. Despite that one individual moment, no one is going to remember it because of that moment, but he was horrible in this game. Declan Rice, really, you saw him having a go at the manager. He was really bad. Kobbie Mainoo, he didn't really control the game that he did the same way in that second half against Slovenia, and now it's looking like a potential another midfield change. And honestly, if I'm Gareth Southgate with this team, you got to completely change it up into that next game. This, Phil Foden, Jude Bellingham, Saka, Kane, front four-ish or whatever you want to say it's just not working. Kyle Walker and Trippier, you want to be a possession-oriented team that dominates play and really on the front foot against teams where you can't have two guys that are not comfortable on the ball. Trippier is comfortable on the ball, but not on the left-hand side. You got to completely change it up there. Mark Gahey, he's having a yellow card suspension. Now you're going to have to go to potential Konsa or, who knows, to replace him on that back. I think it's an absolute mess for England. Major changes need to come. If I'm Gareth Southgate, you see the performances amongst 4 games. You see how lucky you are to still be the manager at this time, because he really should be gone by now. If that one play didn't, if that one moment of magic didn't happen, you got to change it up completely. I think Saka has been brilliant, but, not brilliant. He's been okay this tournament, but, maybe move him at left back. Maybe that is the case. You got to bring in Cole Palmer. Trent Alexander-Arnold, he has to be on the pitch. Way too much quality for a kid like him to be on the bench. It's absolutely abysmal, him. This Kobbie Mainoo, Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham. No. Play Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham, bring Foden back into midfield where he plays for Manchester City. Get rid of Kobbie Mainoo, and then in the left wing, bring Anthony Gordon that provides some sort of verticality, because Bukayo Saka is the only form of vertical attack in the team. There's no real verticality. Kane wants to drop in midfield sometimes to receive the ball, and nobody's making those vertical runs. Bring in Anthony Gordon then. Anthony Gordon, Cole Palmer, Phil Foden, Harry Kane. That should be the front 4. Midfield should be Declan Rice and Bellingham as the 2 pivots or whatever you want to call it. Put in Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back. Put Walker at left back, because Trippier gives you nothing going forward on his left foot. So, you might as well have Kyle Walker there at that point. John Stones, and I don't know, replace that second center back with whatever he deems as the 3rd best center back on the roster, with Mark Gahey being suspended for this game. And, because there needs to be open heart surgery amongst the team. The level of performances has not been good enough, and you can't continue to survive in games, because eventually you will get got out. So just completely change the structure of the team, completely change the lineup, because you have to do something massive to really change this, to really change the rhythm of this team. You have to make a massive change. It needs to come. So for me, if Gareth Southgate, if I'm him, I'm making 4 or 5 changes. I'm completely changing the rhythm of the team. The pattern of play has not been good enough. It has not been good enough at this European Championship. You're lucky you survived, and at the end of the day, you have 3 games to win a European Championship now, because somehow you find your way into quarterfinals. You won a group that you had no business winning with the level of performances you put up, and then you win a game against Slovakia, in a game that you got outplayed and the better team lost, honestly. Because yes, England had more possession, but Slovakia looked more threatening with the opportunities that they had compared to England, despite England having more of the possession of the ball. You're lucky to be here now. Take advantage of this opportunity and completely change it up, because it's not been good enough for England. It has not been good enough. The level of these players, the way they perform for the clubs, compared to what we're seeing from them. You're seeing Bellingham, Foden, Declan Rice, Mainoo, Saka, not Saka, honestly, but Kane. You're seeing these sort of level of players drop stinkers. You don't see this performance for their club for their club team. You really don't. It's 75 minutes to get a shot on target. I mean, imagine. It would have been, I think the criticism that would have came if they were, if 1 minute, if 1 minute went by and they didn't get that final last minute equalizer, I think the criticism that got would have been an unbearable amount of criticism for these English players, an unimaginable type of criticism, the likes of criticism that no national team, faces, besides like Brazil. I think it would have been that crazily bad, because the difference between this team and the Iceland team is that there's real expectation amongst this team. There is expectations amongst this team. There was no real expectations amongst that 2016 team. Obviously, you'll have the daft English fan here and there saying, "Oh, it's coming home," but really, nobody really expected that English team to go much farther if they were able to get past Iceland. This team is expected to win it all, and before the tournament they came in as favorites. After the knockout stage draw, they're still considered favorites. After the group stages, they're still considered favorites because of the way the knockout stage opened up, which is crazy. If they're still the favorites after the Slovakia game, it's clear, it's clear. It's a joke, but it's unbelievably bad for England. 2 shots on target, and that was their 2 goals. You could call that clinical. I call that a real cutting edge from a team like England to have 2 shots on target against Slovakia. Now for Slovakia, it's really heartbreaking. When I say it's heartbreaking, I mean, that's the most heartbreaking way to go out. When you're going up against a team that's really deemed that have more quality than you, and you play as well as you played throughout the duration of the game, and you suffer a bicycle kick equalizer. And let me add on top of this, the thing that makes it even more frustrating is you never really seemed in danger throughout the game too. You really seemed like you're the team that really had control of it. You never really, England never really put Slovakia in major danger. Slovakia were never really on their back foot, defending for their lives. There was no real cutting edge, no real chances created, clear-cut chances created by England. And to go out the way that they did is absolutely heartbreaking. And, that's what it is at this major level. And at the end of the day, the quality of England was able to get through at these tight moments. But now when they take on a team that can match their level of quality, I think they'll be in trouble, and they get an opposition in Switzerland that don't have the individual players that England have necessarily, but have a much better team and performing much better. What Murat Yakin has done with the Swiss team is unbelievable. I didn't expect these level of performances that I've seen from them, and England could be in big trouble against them. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll react to some of the top headlines in the soccer world. Before the break, we reacted to England surviving with the last-minute equalizer versus Slovakia. We move on to react to some of the top headlines going on in the soccer world. We have to start off with some of the games that we missed talking about today over this weekend, because there were so many games that happened with the Copa America and the with the European Championship. Switzerland were able to guide their way past Italy after, in my opinion, the most impressive performance a team has had at these European Championship knockout stages so far, with the way that they just completely dominated Italy, in my opinion, especially in that first half. It was really one team. Italy never really even got a foot in the game. The stats make it seem a little bit more even when you look at 16 shots to 11, 4 shots on target for 1. Switzerland being the 16 and 4 shots on target, 60 shots and 4 shots on target. 49% possession for Swiss, 51% free. But if you watch the game, especially in that first half, it was just complete one-sided, absolute domination. And Switzerland have been so impressive at these European Championship. But they did that opening game to Hungary. I was like, okay. But I wanted to see a little bit more in that Scotland game. It was a little disappointing for them not being able to get the winner. And Scotland actually having an opportunity to potentially win it. Then they went on to have that really good performance against Germany. Really unlucky not to win the group, but then go on to completely dominate an Italy team and really wax them on this big stage in the knockout stages. Hats off to Switzerland. They've actually, I think they have an opportunity now to make history for this team. By the way, this is the best Switzerland national team I've ever seen in my lifetime. And they always make appearances at World Cups, at European Championships. They qualify for every single one. They're very consistent in the fact that they qualify, but they never really, they're never really a threat at the tournament, especially for European teams. They're never really a major threat in the tournament, and to potentially go on a run. They're normally a team that gets to the round of 16 and goes home there. But this team was different in my opinion. They play some good attacking football, and they're really they're really a very good team. Now, as far as European Championships and World Cups, if they win this game against Italy, that will be the farthest that they have ever reached at a European Championship or World Cup. Phenomenal achievement for them if they're able to do that, because they've never reached the semifinal of a major tournament. They've reached a few quarterfinals at the World Cup. A European Championships, they reached the quarterfinals for the first time at the last Euros. The next step for them now is to make a semifinal as a nation, and I think this team has the caliber of football to really reach that level. They've been absolutely brilliant, and hats off to them. Germany were able to get past Denmark 2-0 in a game that was, honestly pretty tight. I think Germany were the main foot, especially to start off. I thought they started off really, really well, but for me, it came down to a 3-minute swing of plays. Denmark go on to score. VAR ended up ruling it out for literally maybe even a centimeter, probably less, honestly. Just, it's really even hard to tell. Like, can technology really sense it to that core? I really am not a fan of those VARs where you're having to zoom in just to see what minuscule of a body part is offsides, but VAR called it off. And then you call a penalty, which, look, in that close range, his hand is like this. When you're running, this is a natural position. It's not extended. I think if you see the elbow away from the body, okay, but his elbow is close to his body, and it's the fact that it's point blank. I think there has to be a level of sympathy for that. It's also the same player that got called off for the goal at the same time. He gets called for, VAR ends up interfering and calls that a penalty, and then it just completely changes the game there. It relieves all the player for Germany, because look, if that goal stands, by the way, for Denmark, I think Germany is going home. The pressure climbs on them, and I don't see them being able to find the breakthrough to get that equalizer, and then I think Denmark will sit in and make it really tough for them. But I think but Germany were able to get it done at the end of the day. I think they were impressive in that manner, but they did show vulnerabilities, and that's why I don't have them ahead of this team, which is Spain, who got past Georgia 4-1. Absolutely brilliant from Spain. 35 shots compared to 4 for Georgia. 13 shots on target, 0 for Georgia. Spain conceded a goal early to Georgia to make it 1-0, and a lot of the Spain teams from the past, they will fold under that. They will not be able to find the breakthrough. Well, they were able to find a breakthrough and get 3 more. This Spain team is different. The Spain team has real intent. 76% possession, 24%. They're able to dominate with possession, dominate without it. They have vertical players. There's no real holes in this team. This is the closest Spain's national team we have seen to their golden generation of the team that won the Euros in 2008, 2012, won the World Cup in 2010. This is the best Spanish national team since they had a golden generation then. And look out for them, because this is a major team. In my opinion, they've been the most impressive team at this European Championship, just based on their level of performances, and they are my clear favorites right now to win the European Championship, because teams ride their momentum, and they have had crazy momentum. Even when you ask, because I wanted to ask the question, what happened if they slip up and they go down? What's their response? Do they put their head down? Well, look, it's not against the best of opposition in Georgia, but they did not put their head down. They continued. They were able to find the breakthrough shortly after, and they were able to soothe the rest of the game. Absolutely brilliant from Spain, and they're real major contender at this European Championship. They are the main favorites at this European Championship, and they'll take on Germany, which will be an absolutely sensational game. By the way, the other confirmed quarterfinals is Portugal taking on France, England taking on Switzerland, and then obviously, as I just said, Spain taking on Germany. 3 absolutely brilliant ties. And the next one will be decided tomorrow, as Romania take on Netherlands and Austria take on Turkey. Really excited to watch those 2 games. Really excited to see the Netherlands play. They really cannot fold against Romania. It will be a big letdown for them. Obviously, we talked about USA losing to Uruguay. Panama was able to get the win 3-1 over Bolivia. Knocks USA out of the Copa America, moves Panama up there. Mexico draw 0-0 to Ecuador, which ended up not being good enough for them to get out of the Copa America, despite really being the main protagonist in this game, because they were chasing a result 20 shots to 9 for Ecuador, but just didn't have the quality, didn't have the cutting edge, didn't have the final touch to get the ball in the back of the net. And kind of the question for Mexico, we saw that similar to the World Cup, not being able to get the next goal against Saudi Arabia, despite all the chances that they were able to create. Really lacking that finishing touch. Santiago Jimenez, I don't care what he does at PSV, he's not good enough at this sort of level. Really, he's not a world-class striker. They're talking about $50 million valuation. Absolutely not. Hell no. Venezuela, they win the group when they defeated Jamaica, finishing 3-for-3 perfectly. Now they take on Canada, which will be an interesting game. Speaking of Canada, they moved on to the knockout stage after drawing Chile 0-0 and scoring 1 goal the entire campaign, but that being enough for them after finishing with 4 points, with getting that 1-0 win over Peru in that second game with the red card, and then now having a red card in this game in the 27th minute, playing a lot of this tournament extra man, and that really is the main decider now. With Jesse Marsh, with the way that he came in so late, and will have to put his system into these players within a short amount of time to be able to get out of the group stages of the Copa America. Really hats off to him. And now, honestly, they get an easier game, rather, because Venezuela, they won the group, but they're not the most difficult of teams. There's much better opposition you could have played as a group, as a runner-up. Take on Venezuela. I think Canada will fancy their chances, and Canada is a better team than Venezuela. They really are. So they'll probably reach the semifinals at this Copa America, potentially get that rematch from the opening day against Argentina. In Argentina, they will beat Peru to finish on top with a perfect 3 of 3. 9 points at Copa America. By the way, tomorrow Brazil take on Colombia in probably the game of the group stages. Has the most quality amongst one game at this Copa America, in my opinion. And then Costa Rica take on Paraguay in a game that really does not matter. Both teams eliminated. Brazil, Colombia to win the group. Brazil needs a win. Colombia only needs a point. It'll be a fascinating game. And it's a big game, honestly, because it's the difference between facing Panama and Uruguay in the quarterfinal, which we all know is a big big difference, huge difference. So big game coming up for Brazil and Colombia. Yeah, wow. Does any game shape the group stages more than that? The difference between playing against Colombia, playing against Panama and Uruguay. Wow, that's just makes the game even bigger. Man United, they're gonna step up their pursuit of Matthijs de Ligt. United, they're gonna contact de Ligt's representative and they're gonna make an official approach to Bayern real soon. They've had a bid rejected for 43 million, including add-ons for Branthwaite. So it's clear they want to move on for de Ligt, who's a cheaper option. And they need to make sure they don't get fleeced in this because this is a de Ligt that wants his way out of Bayern, and they need to use that as leverage when negotiating a transfer value for him. But yeah, it's interesting to see if United get it done. This is another one of Ten Hag's former players, and so yeah, interesting to see if they can get it done. I think he can come in and be very useful for Manchester United. Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you once again and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
I don't want to go to